I'm Bryce Nicholson and you're watching Joburg Today.
You've heard the expression that time is money. But how much are you willing to spend on a good timepiece? Well, Leroy speaks to a man who knows all about this.
When I was a little boy, I had a madness for watches. When I was 5 and 6, already there was a madness. My mother used to take me to town, and we had to stop in front of all the watch shops. My family was in jewelry, I was a good jeweler for years, but watches was my passion. And 30 years in the business, I still get so excited about buying a rare watch. With my understanding of watches, I also love new watches, second-hand watches, and vintage watches. And vintage watches is also exciting because that was stuff that was made, I'd say, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And some of it is such incredible quality that it can't be made today. And there's a lot of sense in second-hand timepieces. I mean, ideally it's supposed to work that these watches that I deal in are great quality. They plan to last 30 and 40 and 50 years. So if you buy a wristwatch that's 3 years old, well, you've got another 27 years to play with it. At the moment, we're dealing with market shortages of certain watches, which is creating unnecessarily spikes in the markets. So there's certain watches that are not available from the shop. You have to go onto a waiting list, or you have to pay a premium, which is a strange scenario. It shouldn't be there. But it's existing at the moment, and it's creating a lot of havoc in the market. It is a temporary thing. Watches are trading high at the moment, and it shouldn't be able to continue because the manufacturers of these watches would rather it didn't.
So will people ever fall out of love with wristwatches?
I wonder. Obviously, I've spent my life doing it. I'm very invested in watches. Most kids are seeing their fathers wearing either a running watch or an Apple Watch or a computer on their arm. I think mostly the next generation is going to be totally unaware of watches, and I think that'll narrow the market. There's always those fellows that Dad wore a Patek Philippe, I'll wear a Patek Philippe, and my grandson will. But I think in the general market, I think the market will narrow. I don't know if 30 years' time our children will have the same passion that people are having today. Just because they aren't around as much. You don't see, there was a time that everyone wore a mechanical watch. Now, I would say 80% of people don't, or 85% don't. So in time it may go the way of fountain pens or ox wagons. But for now, we're trading like crazy and having fun.
That said, how does one start his or her own watch collection?
Some guys who just love the aesthetics, there's some guys who love the mechanics, there's some guys that love military, there's some guys that only like one particular brand. So work out where you want to go. I mean, Omega is so colorful. Omega's got watches that went to the moon, and watches that went on spacewalks, watches for divers, watches that James Bond wore. There's a whole series of exciting Omegas. Panerai is a great brand that, interesting, was all about the Italian Navy in World War II. They were a terrible navy. They sunk their own ships. They dived overboard. But Panerai is a great brand, and it's a celebration of the Italian Navy. They make beautiful watches. They bought correctly, they hold a value. In other words, buy a good quality second-hand Panerai at half its price, or 60 cents in the rand, and you're buying it well. Go with that. I suppose start on the internet, start learning what there is out there. Work out what you love, what your passion is.